Hello and thanks for joining me. You know, it's really hard for me to believe it, but Earnestly Eston turns 3 today. I started my channel back in 2015 and I didn't really have a plan. I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do with it. And, it's sort of evolved over time. It's been a very enriching experience. I've met a lot of really nice people. That has changed sort of how I approach reading, a lot, and I've learned a lot in the last 3 years with the channel. But now as this anniversary was approaching, I started thinking, what kind of content have I actually created over these 3 years? Because I had never really sat down and done an analysis of it. So I decided to do that. Most of my adult life has been spent in the service of big giant global corporations. And so what do big giant global corporations do when they want to track information? They create a spreadsheet. So that's what I did. I haven't finished the spreadsheet for all of my videos, but I did do the spreadsheet for the book chats, which is actually the main component of my channel, it turns out. So I thought I would just kind of run down. The statistics may not be interesting to everyone, but they sure were to me, just about what kind of content I've created over the last 3 years. So yeah, I mentioned book chats are the primary content. I have 113 individual book chats. This is a chat related to one particular book. My next largest category I just grouped together as tags, hauls, summaries, and shelf tours, because I don't do a lot of shelf tours and book hauls and things like that. Have done quite a number of tags, but I've done 40 of those types of videos. And then my next largest category is the Being Stoic series. I have over 30 of those videos where I've gone chapter by chapter through the discourses by Epictetus. And so each one of those chapters has its own video. And so I have around 30-ish of those. Then my next largest category is other, and in this other category, I just grouped all sorts of kind of like a generic thing that didn't really fit any of the other categories. Might be lectures, this type of thing, observations, generic, not really tag related, just ideas, such as like why I read electronic books, things like that. And then my next largest category was opera. I've done 21 distinct opera chats. So yeah, I love doing those. And then my remaining categories, I have a few videos that are around music, maybe concerts that I've gone to. And then I've done about 5 videos of movies and TV. This does not include the book to film chats. I included those with the book count because I do a book chat with those. So, and then I've only done 2 of the audiobook I've been listening series. I just started listening to audiobooks not that long ago, and those are just sort of summary videos. I don't do individual book chats on the audiobooks. So yeah, that's kind of the breakdown of my content. But what I thought I would do around the book chats is just break it down a little bit more, because to me it was really interesting to kind of learn, what kinds of books am I chatting on my channel. So since I've started my channel, if I've read a book that I haven't ever done a chat on, I create a chat for it. I give it its own little moment in the sun and do anywhere from a 12 to 14 and a half minute chat on it. And I've been doing that, not since my channel started, but it wasn't too long into my channel when I evolved into doing these book chats. And they're really the thing I like the most about doing these videos is I really love chatting my books. So of my 113 book chats that I've done, I have done 65 in fiction and 48 in nonfiction. So I was kind of wondering, because it feels to me like I read a lot, about half and half of fiction and nonfiction. That is not the case. I'm reading a bit more fiction, or I'm chatting a bit more fiction than nonfiction. So what kinds of books are these? So I broke it down by type, like not necessarily genre, but just type. So the number one type is literary. So that was kind of a surprise. I've done 24 chats on books that I consider literary. My second category is history, so nonfiction history, with 22 chats. And then my third category largest category is science fiction with 21 chats, and then 10 of fantasy. So those are my main, I guess, genres, or genres we can call it. So I thought that was kind of interesting because I didn't realize I had chatted that much what I consider literary fiction. So that's kind of cool. So then, who am I reading the most of? So I'm a really general reader. So I don't typically read a lot of one author at one time. I'm really scattered, and eclectic with my reading. So I was real curious to break that down and see, how many books I've chatted on individual authors. And so I have two tied for number one, Hermann Hesse and Cixin Liu. Hermann Hesse is a early 20th century German writer who wrote what I consider literary fiction. He's a Nobel Prize for Literature winner. So early half of the 20th century, first half of the 20th century. And then Cixin Liu is a current contemporary science fiction writer from China. So I have chatted 4 Hesse books and 4 Cixin Liu books. So those were my most commonly chatted authors. So age, I'm real interested in when things are published. So if you notice on my book chats, I will mention in the book chats, especially probably over the last year and a half or so, or 2 years, I have specified, where and when the book was published. So as far as age, the oldest book I've chatted is from 43 BC, The Letters of Cicero. I've only chatted 3 books that were prior to the 19th century. And then in the 19th century, this was kind of a surprise for me. I've only chatted 1 book from the 19th century. 1899 saw the publication of Resurrection by Leo Tolstoy, which I did a chat on last year. So that was kind of interesting. And then for the 20th century, I had chatted books from every single decade of the 20th century except the first decade of the 20th century. So every other decade I've chatted several books from it. So just the most chatted books come from the decade of the 1970s, when I've chatted 6 books from the 1970s. But every decade has some sort of representation. So I was kind of pleased with that because I was wondering, how generally I was reading. So I was kind of glad that at least I had representation from every decade. Not every single year of the 20th century yet, but I may get there, so stay tuned. But for the 21st century, so of course this is the most I've read from. Well, not of course, but for me, this was kind of surprising to me because it felt like I was reading more sort of older stuff, but in fact I've read mostly 21st century, or chatted mostly 21st century books. And it's where are these books coming from? Well, before I get to that, the most chatted year is 2015. I have chatted 15 books from that appeared in the year 2015. So that is the biggest year, followed by around 2014, I think, and 2016. So those are the most chatted years from the 21st century. But I've chatted quite a few books from, I don't know, I didn't check to see if it was every single year of the 21st century yet. Probably not, but anyway. So where are these books coming from? So I tried to put them in a place of origin, so I categorized where they come from. Being from the United States and being an English speaker, it's no surprise that the United States was the primary origin of most of the books that I've chatted. I chatted 52 books that had an origin in the U.S. and 23 from the U.K., another not surprise being English speakers. So 75 of these 113 books that I have chatted come from have an origin either in the U.S. or in the U.K. I was a little surprised that I have not chatted any books from Australia or New Zealand. I've only chatted 2 books from Canada. But where outside of the English-speaking world, what is the origin? What countries or cultures have the most? Have I chatted the most? And that award goes to Germany. I have chatted 5 books from Germany, and then France, Russia, and China all tied with 4 apiece. And then I have a scattering of other countries and cultures as well to round out the rest of the 113 113 works. So yeah, so that's sort of my stats. I didn't break it down. I want to do this and also with my operas because I'm real kind of curious now to see the operas on the spreadsheet. So I'll get around to that too. My opera chats. And I'll be adding to those soon. I've got Opera Hall coming up for my 2018-2019 opera season. That's coming up, and of course these numbers are going to shift for next year's anniversary. They will be a little bit different, But to me it was kind of interesting just to see what kind of content I've created over the last 3 years, and just sort of evaluate that. And I feel pretty good about what I've done for my content. So anyway, if you've been with me a while, or you're subscribed to me for a while, or you're a new subscriber, thanks for tuning in. It's so rewarding, really, to sort of get that feedback and to find people that relate to what I'm reading. I think that's part of the fun about doing the chats. Ultimately, I just really love getting it out there. Giving a book a little 15 minutes of fame out there, and creating that, and just spending that time reflecting on the book. It's just been a very enriching experience to me. So I hope to continue that on for another year to come. So in the meantime, I guess stay tuned. There will be a lot coming up on my channel, and I'm going to have a date walnut vegan scone. So happy anniversary to Earnestly Eston. Take care. Bye.